Kia ora, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. It is good to be here. Today's guest doesn't really need too much of an introduction, but I tell you, this discussion here I think really captures the essence of the guy. He's a really devoted family man, as well as a businessman, and trying to navigate his way through starting his own business, as well as being part of the greater franchise that is the New Zealand international rugby team here in New Zealand, which are the All Blacks. So really cool chat, and it's about him spreading positivity and knowing who he is as a person. That gives him that purpose. We talk about his journey through his ethnic identity, so being a Samoan male, as well as just him discovering more and more about himself. So just such an awesome chat. And we also talk about his clothing brand, so make sure that you go check him out at ASAV Clothing. Use the code SICKASPODCAST and get absolutely nothing, but you might have a little bit of a chuckle, and whoever's on the other side might also chuckle. But yeah, enjoy this chat with my boy, Mr. Ardie Savea.
I ain't got you.
By now, prefer to be 7 or 8?
What's that?
Playing wise.
Oh, bro.
Just play.
Just
play the game.
Just play, man.
Yeah.
Just, I'm grateful if I'm on the field.
Yeah.
I kind of don't mind whatever position I'm in, eh?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like to play. And that's cool. And I think that comes across a lot in the interviews that I've heard of you. It's more just like you're there to do the game that you loved.
Yeah.
Since you were young,
100%.
That's all you've wanted to do, though.
Like when I played with you under 30s, bro.
That's what I was going to get into, man, because I remember back then, like, you were like half the size of most of us, and you still wanted to play open.
Yeah.
Because, like, where did that come from?
Bro, I think it was just the older brother mentality, bro. Like, with Jules, because he was so big.
Yeah.
And like we used to just play in the lounge, and I always, just try and prove a point with him. So like it was just natural, and I love contact. So that was probably where it stemmed from. And I always knew, like, people looked at me and was like, this guy's half small as.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's go. So I think, and then 7 was just the position where you're always in the middle and things.
Yeah.
So that's where I just kind of.
For sure. Yeah, because I remember that. I remember, like, this guy in the middle of everything, like, you could have easily gone to, like, restricted.
Yeah.
But you just came up and you played with the boys that you'd been playing with most of that time.
Shucks, it was crazy.
Yeah, man.
'Cause you're 8, you're the 8,
bro. Yeah, man. That's how it goes down. And then, I don't know, I just stopped growing, and then they put me in the front row. And then started playing hooker.
Did you go hooker?
Just my height. I wasn't a jumping option anymore after that. Yeah. Anyway, but doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter anymore. We're here now, eh, brother?
But so you just came off commercial week. Like, I'll just put this in part of your commercial week. This is all part of your commercials and stuff. But talk us through that, because you, like, that's huge. That's not one of those things where you just like, I'm only here to play rugby. Like, you have all of these other commitments to sponsors and whatnot. So talk us through that process.
Yeah, bro. So like, everyone just sees us footy players when we're on the field, and just they think that we just train, get on the field and play. But like, there's another side to it, and that's the business side. And if for the people that know, like, obviously New Zealand Rugby, they get money in through sponsors and stuff like that. So the commercial week pretty much is an opportunity for sponsors to have hold of all the All Blacks players to run ads and campaigns. So that's why you sometimes see ABs and like ASB ads and stuff like that. And that's pretty much what we do in this week.
Yeah.
So I had 5 this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most guys. So I was there from Monday to Thursday. So yeah, long days. Yeah. But it's just part of the job.
Yeah, but you're a natural performer, eh?
Yeah. Oh, like, that's what I mean. Like, for me, I find, like, I was like, I don't want to go, but then, like, in my heart, I was like, actually, it's a blessing to be able to do this, and also it's a blessing because I get to meet new people.
Yeah. And
then, like, so I carry that mindset each day, and, like, just meet new people and just had conversations like we do now. And, like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, so it's awesome, man.
And what's it like coming through as, like, just because what people see you as a rugby player, but then a lot of people are starting to see you then as, like, a chance to market things, but then also a chance to be a billboard. But then you're, like, meeting with some pretty up there people.
Yeah.
How did that change in your head from, like, I'm actually here to be part of this business, as opposed to just tell me what to do?
Yeah, hard out, because I used to be like that. I used to just go rock up, I'd do this, so yeah, do it. But now, like, on one side of my brain, I'm seeing it as, like, it's an opportunity to meet, like, you're meeting CEOs of some big companies in the world. So, like, for me, that's like opportunity to shake hands and get to know someone. And then on the other side, the human side of me is just like, I'm just going to go just be kind to people.
Yeah, man.
Because I know people look up to myself and put me on a pedestal, but for me, I'm just a normal dude.
Yeah.
And I have that same thing, like there's a CEO and I'm like, oh, but he's probably just a normal father.
Sure.
So I just, having those normal life conversations and like you walk away from primary and you're like, man, everyone's just normal guys. Like, you know,
Yeah.
but like in society, we always put like statuses on people and think that they're more important, but at the end of the day, they're just normal humans.
Yeah, and I think 2020 showed a lot of that, just because like everyone started getting into a point where we're just like, wow, we're all at a standstill right now. We can all only do so much to like progress ourselves. So why don't we just start helping each other?
That's it, eh?
Yeah. And I saw you get back to Ori's. How long had that been? You played a
last
game?
year,
Yeah.
I played 2.
You played 2 games?
Yeah, it was mean, but like I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for club rugby and Ori's. So the first game I came, I played for the Prims, and then I had a sneaky jump in for the Prim reserve. So and the other team were like, "What the?"
Yeah.
But like, I played fullback.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Bro, just chuck me in the backs. Like, I don't want to go hard out. I just want to have some fun." So yeah, I just jumped in the Prim reserves, played at fullback, and everyone was just crack. Like it was fun, like playing against the other team and stuff like that. So.
And then going back to, so just going back to everything, and I think that's something that you're really good at, is you're always talking about who got you here to where you are now. And I remember the earlier stuff, maybe when Jules either just cracked the Canes or he was into the All Blacks at the time. And I think you might have been playing sevens at the time. You might have been NZ sevens. It was around that time. And I remember like seeing all of the stuff that was coming out. I was talking about, and your parents were involved with it. And it was interesting because I like saw it from, I'd seen your parents at games, but then it was almost the same personalities, but on TV now. Yeah. So like your mum just could talk about everything, super proud, both like super proud, but they showed it in their own ways. Yeah. So like, just tell us about, your parents as your role models coming through.
Man, like it's thick. It's crazy. Like, the days we used to play under 13s, like we had no transport. Like, we had to rely on public transport, and you know how some games were out in Parapara-Umu.
Yep.
And like there were days where like mum and dad would be like scraping for cash to like figure out how we're going to get out there for us boys. And like we were so grateful we had some people in our lives that like pretty much offered their time to take us.
Yeah.
So, like little things like that, I always remember like the times we had nothing and the people that were there. But like, having mum and dad, bro, like, shucks, like all mum and dads to the boys and the sisters out there, like, I get pretty like, my heart gets pretty like emotional because like, shucks, our parents are amazing people, and like I see, like when I was young, like what they did and the sacrifices and the choices they made and the struggle they made, like they went through just for us to succeed in life. So for me now, it's like honoring them. So what I'm doing now is I'm honoring them and saying thank you. And also I got my little own new family. So
exactly.
And it's honoring my wife and the kids. Sorry, bro, I'm getting a bit emotional.
No, man, go for it.
But I get emotional when I speak about mum and dad because like I just remember the times we had nothing and the people they helped, but also like they never made it look to us like we were struggling.
For sure.
But parents do. But like when I look back now, I'm like, wow, like how the hell did they handle, me and Jules and all the traveling and everything. So I'm real grateful for them, bro. And what I'm doing now is just pretty much an image of how they raised us.
For sure.
And us just honoring them, bro.
That's awesome, man. And because I do think about that all the time, hey, like all of these different things, they never say no to anything that you wanted to do.
No.
But then when you put yourself in that position now and you just see, you're like, man, it would have been so much easier if they just said no to some things so that it's like manageable, but they try to make everything work.
And they try to like they never forced us to play rugby. It was just like, son, what do you guys want to do? And then if we wanted to go to Auckland, they would find a way for us to go to Auckland. Like it was just, when I look back, I'm just like crazy. Like I look back now, like if I had no car and I had 2 kids that played sport, were good at it, and that needed to travel, me as a parent, I'd be like, how would I do this? But they made a way.
For sure, man.
So it's cool.
Yeah, and I guess now that I mean, it's good that you are very grateful for that and you're actually appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Because in that way, I think it comes into everything that you do, right?
Yeah, bro.
It brings that purpose to everything that you do.
Yeah, and just kind of keeps me grounded, like, and humble, and like, you know, I think that's just the way my parents raised us. So like, don't get too far ahead of ourselves. We're just like, I don't know what it is, man, but like, just kind of grew up that way, and I know that's what kind of makes my heart tick, is my family. So
that's awesome, brother.
I keep that like the main thing.
Yeah, well, that's the one. And I always see it's always crack up every time you drop a new line. Your parents are always wearing your gear as well. Like, my man, get it out there. And they've so like even with your business pursuits, they've always just been 100% supportive of that.
Yeah, well, like, you know, obviously my parents you know, migrated from Samoa here, so they had no idea around business. So like when I talk to them, they're just like, yeah, like they always support what I do. They have no, but I don't think they quite understand it. So I kind of learnt that once I got into the professional era of rugby, and just like kind of started like educating, because I didn't learn any of that in school. And then the clothing business came up, and my parents support it. I always tell Dad and Mum what the messages mean to me and stuff like that, and like they're like, oh yeah, cool. You know how our parents are, like,
for sure.
Mum shows emotion, Dad just like, oh, nice, son, and I'm like, yep, cool. And then it's like that, but they're always supportive, bro.
That's cool, man.
Even though they don't know sometimes half the stuff I'm doing.
And I saw, so like that's cool because you talked about, you know, their journey from Samoa to here, and then you like being born here and then having to go through that. And I think it's nearly every Pacific Islands or any migrant family has to go through that, even if they're the first generation. It's like this it's this weird identity, it's trying to find like a belonging to that identity. And I've heard you be a bit more vocal with it, especially with like the boys who are starting to speak more Māori, and then you like wanting to know a bit more of your language. But then you had some good old advice by Mr. Was it Victor? Who told you about, you know, your Samoan side? Yeah. So just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, man. Like, cause like, you know, like you grow up and like the perception back then was like, if you couldn't speak the native tongue, like you weren't Māori or you weren't, for me it was like you weren't Samoan. Like, you're plastic, you know, like, and you know, like you kind of over time it was like, okay, but then over time when you get older and you mature and you kind of see life in a different way, those kind of comments can like, it could affect you a bit.
For sure.
So for me, it was like, I started to believe like, oh shucks, I'm not like Samoan, and I have to learn the language and the native tongue to be Samoan or be like part of the group that can speak the tongue. But I had this real interesting conversation with Victor Vito, and we started talking, and he's like, oh, like, because he went through the same thing. And because he's really well spoken, like, and like he gets like, oh, you speak really well for a brown brother. Like, you know, and it's like, what? And he said that he went through the same thing, but he encouraged me and said, like, being Samoan is just not being able to speak Samoan. There's so many other qualities
for sure
that like our culture drive themselves and the values. And he was like, you know, like saying tulo when you walk past someone, just being kind, helping out, serving, like, you know, giving. And he's like, oh, so you do all those things. Like, and you can speak a little bit tongue, but that's just like 1% of being so like, he put it in that perspective. Once he put it in that perspective, I was like, yo, okay. So like now I'm just like, I walk and I'm proud. And like, it's kind of like, even while I'm doing that, like I want to personally like learn the tongue. Like I was learning it just to be a part of something. But now I'm learning because I want to walk around and speak it.
Oh, that's cool,
you know,
man.
and try, like, you know, the basics and stuff like that.
For sure.
So, that's the journey on that side. And like, you know, I was ashamed like of that because I couldn't speak the tongue, but now I'm just like, I'm proud, bro. Like,
that's cool, bro.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's a way of being as opposed to what you do. It's just, this is my essence. My essence is like Fa Samoa or whatever it is. And you're just like, this is me. Rather than just being like, oh, you know, I can't do that, therefore I can't do that. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh, if you just slowly build it up over time,
That's it, man.
and in that way, the language to you will be way more just rich,
Yeah.
because you're not just like, oh, I need to do this so I can talk to them, but it's like, I need to do this because it'll actually help me like find that part of myself as well.
And the whole part of that journey, bro, was like, I had never been to Samoa
That's right,
before 2018, I think.
Yeah.
2018 or 2019, one of the years. And I avoided it because I had always been told, like, don't go home, like, all the family want is money, and like they just want. So I was like, that whole, all my years growing, I was like, nah, I don't want to go back. And then there was just something that happened in my life where like my relationship with my father changed. And then I was like, had my daughter. Then I was like, man, like my granddad, my dad's dad, still living in Samoa. He's a high chief in the village. And I was like, shucks. And I was on that journey of me self-discovering my own family. And then when I had my kids, I was like, I want them to know their culture and where they come from. And I can't, if their dad hasn't been through. So I was like, yo, family, let's go to Samoa. Honestly, brother, like the best decision I made in my life.
Yeah.
Going back home, going into the village, seeing where dad grew up. Mum and dad came too. Seeing dad smiling because I was in his village.
Yeah.
And I avoided it the whole time. And like just sitting there sometimes and just asking questions, and he'll tell me stories. Bro, and it's just awesome seeing my daughter being carried by all like the island cousins and stuff, bro. Like it was so cool, man. Like, but like, so that stemmed from that, and then kind of got a feel of like my identity, bro. Like, this is where my dad came from. This is where I'm from. This is my family. It's my ainga. And then I went and saw mum's side, and kind of stemmed through that. Now, like I'm like, yo, you know, like I've got a connection at home. So this I'm still going on that journey now, but it's been amazing so far, bro.
That's awesome, bro. And it's just one of those things that I guess over time, you know, things will start to sink into place. Yeah. We always think of this thing as like, oh, you know, I haven't done this yet. But like once you start understanding that purpose or your being or whatever it is that you're about, you know, you just go through life and you start to pick up all the tools as you go, man.
Hard out, man.
Yeah.
Hard.
How was the language journey? Because you started a little bit of it.
Yeah, the language, I've kind of like Nipo Laulala.
All right.
The prop for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
He's like fluent, like Samoan. So like when I was on tour with the ABs, I sat next to him on the bus every day.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, "Uswa, wa mai."
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, mangi whafkai wa mai lo sunga." And I'm like, "Yeah, wa mai." So I was like, "Oh, mangi whafkai sekius." Like just like and we would laugh. And then I was like, I saw like Pedi Tupalotu and TJ Piranara doing like intros in their native tongue on TV.
That's right.
And I was like, man, that's inspiring. Like, I'd love to do that as well. So I sat next to Nipo and like was like, also like got an intro. The man came with like a long ass makai one. I was like, oi, I don't want to go on TV. And I kept asking him what it meant. And so like the whole tour, I just practiced the same intro that he taught me to say like if I get interviewed after. For sure. So I just did that, and just I can speak like the how are you and good morning, I'm good, thank you, have a good day. But it's just slowly building.
That's cool, man. And I think even just being confident in that, because I know for a lot of Māori speakers, what we found was that people who are Māori and can't speak Māori and go to learn Māori, they have that embarrassment that they can't. They're just like,
oh, true.
So like in terms of going to try to learn, they're just like, oh, you know, I should be able to do this. So they get very whakama around it. They're just like, and then that's why they stop learning. But if you're going for it, and that's almost the best way, like just having someone that you know that you trust.
Bro, hard. And like because I can't learn if it was like I'm learning in a class. So I learn like also like by like just real life, like oh my or he'll know to come to me and goes ads wa seki and I'm like and then it forces me, so it's just like normal, and I'll say something wrong and he'll just laugh and I'm like but it's just a trusted space for sure, you know, like and that's for me I found it the best way, bro. And in that trust and space, actually that's a really good place to take it, because I was thinking about your podcast, and I was thinking about when you had the Beast on, and I was just when you had Via on, and that's like probably the ultimate trust and space that you had there. Because I mean, if I know anything about those interactions, like to go almost an hour back to back, and he's just really like having to dig in to get the words to explain it.
it was deeper than a lot of people would probably think.
Yeah, like if they, that's why like when people ask me like who was your best podcast, like all the guests, amazing, but a podcast that like it hit me hard was Via, because the man hardly like will say a word in English.
Yeah.
And for him to, like you see, like be on the podcast for an hour and share his journey, bro, like I was just blown away.
Yeah.
You know, like it was amazing, bro. So yeah.
Yeah. And then just thinking about you and the podcast, you know, because I mean, the beautiful thing about it is that you're taking away the middleman, basically. So that was the whole kind of philosophy behind it, was that you take away that filter, which is the media, because they can take whatever they want and they can pretty much put like some, you know, sugar on it. And this is how we want it to look. You know, we take these words, put it here, but you're just getting like 1 hour of just straight whatever they want to put out. What was the technicalities around that? Like, did you have to go through anyone to try and say you're releasing a podcast?
Yeah, bro. So like, I don't know if I'll even get in trouble saying this, but like for me, bro, like how I mentioned that commercial stuff, that space at the start of the podcast. So with me, I'm like, I love driving and trying to build my own kind of brand and stuff like that. But that has its positives, but also it conflicts a lot with the boss. My boss. So like, I'm trying to grow in my my PD space, professional development space, but at the same time, it's getting pushed down. So with the podcasting, like I had to film it, run it past media people or the NZRU people to make sure it was okay, and they would either give me the okay or say, no, you can't say that, or you can't talk about that, or stuff like that. And then I would just like have to go edit it, and you probably know how hard it is editing stuff, man.
Oh yeah, man.
And plus trying to play footy, good footy, it was just a lot of like, sometimes I felt like they were always trying to like limit me, but I guess that was just part of the job. And when I look back at it now, it was difficult. Probably still will be if I started podcasting again, but those are kind of the difficulties when I was doing the podcast, bro.
Do you feel that it played in the back of your mind when you were talking to them, or did you feel like you got into a pretty good space with each of them?
So
like all of the people that you were like interviewing, did you find that you had that like kind of the making sure you're not saying the wrong things in the back of your mind?
Nah, man, like, because for me, I was just like, I want to share their stories, like, and their hearts and their testimonies, and that was creating a safe space, first and foremost. And I always like would talk, and then after the podcast, I was like, also, is there anything that you didn't want on there that you might have shared your heart, but you're like, oh,
sure,
you know, like I don't want that in there. And like some will be like, can you cut the bit that I said there? I was like, all good, man, because that's the space I want. So cut that out, or it would be like, sweet. But then sometimes I take it to these guys, the NZRU or whoever was kind of like watching over it. And there was a few things that they had to be cut out. It wasn't serious stuff, but just around like alcohol and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, all that stuff.
Just stuff all good.
And what about, have you ever thought about getting into the vlogging space?
Yeah, bro. I actually got a few vlogs like parked up in my hard drive.
All right.
But man, like, because I'm okay in front of the camera. So like I did a few vlogs with the Hurricanes, like what we get up to on travel day when we travel to South Africa. People don't like see that stuff and what the boys get up to. So I vlogged a few of that stuff. But like I said, man, like I'm a real bad planner.
Sure.
So I'm learning that skill set, like just started, bro, about planning my stuff. Because I found I just had too many stuff on. But realized it was just me being unorganized. So I've just kind of like, last year was a year of like stripping it back and realizing what was important and like just having that. So that's why I kind of kept the podcast on hold and until I saw other things out and then maybe go into that.
Right. Nah, that's cool, man. Because I mean, you're exactly right. The reason why people gravitate towards that sort of thing is because we can watch rugby anywhere. Like, everyone can watch a game of rugby, but it's like more what's actually going on behind the scenes. The fun stuff. Like probably my favorite videos to watch when I was coming up was the like Christmas when you guys would go get your gear. So like all the new people would come in, grab your box, go around to all the different. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, that's still a thing, but the gear's being limited because obviously, you know, like. But man, like any free gear, I'm like, it's still Christmas, bro. Like you go in and it's just like, wow. Especially when you like you don't have any of that stuff growing up, and you see it, it's like me.
How did you get ASAV on your bag? Is that what on all your gear?
Nah, strategy.
No, right, nice.
Yeah,
You're plugging a brand. Nice.
No. So there was Aaron Smith.
Yeah.
AS.
AS, right?
And then I was the second AS to come. So they put ASAV, which is the start of my first name, and then SAV, which is Savea. So they just put ASAV.
Yeah.
Oh, like, it wasn't ASAV, but I called it ASAV.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's quite a nice ring to it. And then, like, with my brand, it was like Ardie Savea clothing, but I didn't want my name, if that made sense. So I was like, oh, I'll just change it to ASAV.
Right.
So it's like my ASAV clothes, and then there's like ASAV on all the All Blacks. So they probably have to change it now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because what's the, like, for the trademarking of your own brand? So we'll just go into the brand stuff now. For all of that stuff, like, how did you manage to get it so that you have your own clothing brand of you as the person? So, like, you're almost developing yourself as part of, like, a separate entity, but you're still part of, like, the rugby circle. Does that make sense? So how did you, like, do you have to work with the PR people from the All Blacks to make that happen?
What, the clothing?
Yeah,
and
or could you do your clothing as, like, a separate thing? It's a big process. We don't have to go there if you don't.
No, we can, like, and it's part of the side that people don't see.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and for me, like, Adidas a sponsor. Oh, Adidas is a major sponsor for the All Blacks. Yeah. And me being a part of the All Blacks and owning an own clothing brand, apparently I'm a competitor with Adidas.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, like, a couple of years ago, bro, when I used to get into trouble so much because I would be promoting my business and using my face, and they were saying, I'm not allowed to use my face. So they own my IP, my intellectual property.
Sure.
So, like, that side was like, how the hell, like, I've owned the business, you guys know that, but I wasn't allowed to promote my brand. So I had to get other people to wear it and stuff like that. So, like, and ad strategy, like, I'd be the model, but I would cut my face out.
Right.
Like, stuff like that was ridiculous. And, like, over the last couple of years, I've fought for, like, leniency on the rules. So, like, now I can promote my own stuff, use my own face. Any other All Blacks can't, though.
Yeah.
Like, no All Blacks can share it and or promote it if they're sponsored by Adidas. So, because it's apparently I'm a competitor to the biggest brand in the world, but I'm not. But yeah, so there's a lot of, like, it's still going now, but like to honor, like, the people that employ me, that they've kind of moved forward into helping me and stuff like that. So I honor them as well. But yeah, it's like a tricky space. Like, if no one actually did that, then they wouldn't have found out that all that kind of stuff in that world. Right. But yeah, with my clothing stuff, bro, it's still trying to find that middle ground. We're still in the process now, man. So yeah, I got told off recently because you know how my shorts are inspired by
the
super
shorts
colours.
for the supers,
inspired by super colors. I, like, you know how I tagged the hurricanes and stuff. I got in trouble because they own the IP of the names.
Sure.
And they're saying that you're using the names to sell your own clothes.
Oh, man.
But, like, I was like, oh, shucks. Like, I was just like, I love the super teams, and it's just saying inspired by, but then, like, you can't use that. So technically I could have used, like, inspired by the Canes. Right. CANES, because they don't own that IP. Yeah. Inspired by the Satyrs. Yeah. But I could have done that, but because I did the Canes, I got sent an email. Yeah. So, like, little things like that, bro. Sure. And that space in the footy that I have to deal with. Yeah, it's kind of
I think it's trailblazing stuff, though, because, like, if this then becomes the like something that other people can see that themselves could do, then maybe more and more people will start to do it. Because so you're just, like, trying to see how the bridge is going to look.
That's it.
Because if you're the first person doing it, then hopefully after years and years of this, more people can start to do this sort of thing.
That's it, man. And that's been a big thing of mine because, like, in that commercial and business space, like, you know, obviously when you come big, you get sponsorship deals. At the moment, brother, like sponsorship deals goes to certain boys. Sure. You know, and like, for me, I got none, which is totally okay. Yeah. So, like, for me, I've accepted it. Like, in the past, I used to be like, this is like, you know, like, this is like,
Just what's going on here.
This is what's going on.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, real like negative. But then I'm like, you know what? I've come to accept that. So what I'm going to try and do is just build my own empire and like pave a way where other brothers can see and be like, oh, actually, I might go that way because I ain't getting anything from sponsors or any other brands. Why not build my own brand this way, and then I can actually leverage my brand and start connecting that way.
For sure.
So that's the process I'm kind of in now.
And what about the process of you becoming like just a public figure? And just someone that now, every time you put anything out or anytime any sort of media comes out, like you have hundreds of thousands, probably like even more people who are aware of what you are doing. So how did that process happen, and how are you starting to transition and actually like realize like, wow, the magnitude of anything that I do is received on such a huge scale now?
Like at first, it like, you know, the hype,
you
know, like it can get to you, and when you're young and like, even though you don't show it, bro, like inside your heart, like you start to believe it. And I think I went through that period as well. But then, like with my faith journey and you know and all that, I started to just learn to be myself and kind of actually like fix my heart, actually know what I want in my life, and then just carry that wherever I go. So like if I'm doing media, I just be me. And because who I want to be is to be kind, loving, just to be like, you know, live with grace and kindness. And if I'm doing that, that's me. Doesn't matter if I'm in the media or social media. Like you'll just see it through my social media channels, on me with media, interviews and stuff like that's just, you know. So it wasn't me trying to put this like persona on, which I was doing in the past. Like, you know? And then, you know, I had a bit of heart surgery. And a hard look at myself, and I was like, man, like all these like material things and really things that I have are nice, but like it's not as nice as feeling like the true joy and happiness within your heart. And I think that's where everything stemmed with me, and then just like being genuine, like who I want to be, and then let that just be. You know, across. You know,
just getting some sort of maturity with it,
But then also on the flip side is like realizing the platform I have, obviously, and people obviously look up to myself, and that's just part of the job. And if I can be a really good person, like within myself, and people see that and like, oh wow, then hopefully it can, you know, just flow
for sure.
Just get out to the world. You know what I mean?
Because when I told everyone that you were coming on, like everyone just like the reaction was huge, but it was more just like, please say hi to him for me. Like it was not like a, can you ask him like like rugby stuff. It was more just like you as a person, because I think people feel like they know you, because that's just who you are out there all the time. You
know, there's some things like I don't put out there,
of course,
you know, and obviously that's social media, but then I pretty much just be who I am and try and be who I am, like, you know, when you meet me on social, so it's like not a thingy, but sad to those guys, those people that said no, that didn't want to hear me.
Fuck, sad. I got a little bit upset, but then I looked at it and I was like, wait a second, that one no. You know who that was?
Nah, who was it?
It was this guy, Ardie Savea.
Was that the only one?
You're the only one that said no, mate.
Shucks.
That's all right. Almost sabotage my damn life right there. And if we talk about the material things and whatnot, sorry to shout you out like this, bro, but you know, man's is got all these gears and stuff, and he's still got a hole in his sock right now.
There you go. Can they see me here? No.
I don't know. They might be able to.
Look, there you go.
There we go.
Holy socks, mate.
It's not about the material things right there. Yeah. But for you, so, I mean, because you became an adult basically through rugby. So you started off as an 18 to 19-year-old traveling the world.
Yeah, man.
And then you went from there into just like you transitioned from boyhood basically into being a man while playing rugby. And you're on the screen all the time. So like that, you're starting to build a family. There's a whole bunch of things that go on in that. How was that journey?
Man, it was crazy. Like when I sit here now and I kind of reflect on that, like you think of a kid coming straight out of school into a professional environment. And like, you know, like you're in there training every day, like you're in the public eye, like straight away you just had to give up, give up, but like make choices in your life that if you want to pursue this career, you're going to have to make some hard choices that like, you know, as a 18-year-old, man, come on, like, so, but on the flip side, so you make those hard decisions, but you learn to grow up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did the 7 straight out of school.
Yeah.
Traveled to like Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Did that. Made Lions the year after, and then the year after made the Hurricanes. And I've just been, I'm here now. So it's like rugby's been like my whole life, kind of thing. And you know, and I believe that like rugby's everything.
Yeah.
There was nothing until, you know, like I went through my own journey of healing, and you know, I got married. I had my kids, and grew up. But it's hard, man. Like when I look back now, being a young kid, it's kind of like the culture of rugby, like ends up being your identity, if that makes sense, and who you think you are.
Yeah.
Until you actually find proper, like real purpose. Like I always said, my family was my purpose. But like when I was 18 and that, I just like became part of. I wanted to become part of like the boys in the group.
Right.
That like I swayed. Like that ended up becoming my identity. It was just trying to fit in. And then it wasn't until like I went through where I want to be. I started hanging out with like I was still with Tunga and that then, but really, really like, you know, when your friendship goes from like boys to like actual men. Like it's like,
for sure.
For real. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't until that, and then that was when the journey of healing and you know, got married and had my kids, and then that's what's like, I look back and I'm like, wow, like even, rugby's cool, like, and it's great and brings a lot of blessings, but there's another side of that. That's
for sure.
quite, like the culture side of like, wanting to fit in and being part of the boys. Can have its good effects and its bad.
For sure. Yeah, it's like anything, with like that social circle and the things that you're willing to do just to fit in with that social circle. And even if it doesn't align with your values, you're like, I don't want to miss out. So you start getting into all of that stuff, especially when you're at a young age. Like those are formative years, you know, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
The older boys are telling you what to do. You're like, I just need to make that circle, and you just do things that you wish you didn't.
Yeah. Or, you know, like at the time I thought it was, cool.
Yeah.
But now I look back, I'm just like, I don't regret it, but it's just like, man, like if that happened to me now, I would like,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just part of that as well, because that's part of your identity. And, you know, you're lucky that, or I guess lucky, blessed, fortunate to have only gone through like your first major injury, really, like last year, or surgery?
Nah, I've had two. I had a shoulder, a bicep tendon.
That's right,
actually, tore my bicep tendon, I think, 214 or 215. And then had my knee surgery after the World Cup.
But then after like you had a few years in the trenches first before you get to that stage.
Yeah.
Because if you had got it like early in that year where you thought rugby was all that you had, like that's when it's real difficult. But it was probably still difficult for you.
Yeah. It's like it was crazy because when I got my knee surgery, I thought it would be an amazing opportunity for me to work on things like outside of footy, like my podcast and stuff, you know. And I thought that was like, and I was in my and I was like, this is what God's got planned for me. It's okay. I'm gonna get all my off-field stuff sorted, bro. He had different plans for me, man. Like it was like I went through the trenches, and it wasn't even. I actually even stopped doing the podcast. It wasn't that, and the main thing was to make sure my family was okay. Yeah. And that was the and like, when I look back now, it's funny, man, because like when I was sitting there, like, all good, got my podcast, gonna work on business, gonna, you know, like go hard, and then lockdown happened, and it was like, you're injured, but you got to keep the main thing, and that's family, and making sure my wife and my kids, you know, are happy and going well. So, man, like you say, like, before I got injured, I'd be like, if I got injured, I'll be sweet. Like, you know, I got life all good, sussed, happened, and then, not so much, man.
But you're still grateful for everything, right?
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah. Always grateful for everything, and I'm just blessed, bro. I like walk around and I truly, authentically think like God's gifted me with a talent to put smiles on people's faces, bro.
Oh, that's cool, bro.
You know, and so like every time I go to play a game, I always just thank him, like, Lord, thank you for giving me this talent, because I'm going out there and I know a lot of people will be happy and will be smiling, and it brings families together to watch me play, which is the gift that he gave me.
So. And then, so when you do play, like, do you still get nerves?
100%.
It's still a thing,
every game, man. Every game.
Like,
every game.
do you have like a ritual that no one knows about or that a few people know about? Like, what's your thing on game day? So you know you're busing to wherever you're going to go, and then you're getting in. Are you one of those like quiet people? You like your space, or do you like to just joke around with everyone?
I'm quite like a calm dude, man. Like you know, like everyone's got their headphones on, and I like we vibe. Like there's a few guys that we see each other, and we're just like hey, like but like we can't like verbally like joke around because these other guys,
of course,
they're just like
and
so I'm just a calm dude, bro. Like, and one of the rituals I always do, bro, like before I go out to warm up. So as soon as we arrive, I'll just set up everything, and then I'll go out onto the field. And people always ask. I just did a commercial about it, like what music do I listen to? Right, and I listen to my worship music. And it just keeps me calm and happy, and takes me to a place of like my purpose. What's my purpose? And gets me in the fields pretty much.
That's cool, bro.
You know, and I go out on the field and I like pick a song, and I just go to like an area that's isolated. I just sit there, bro, or stand there, close my eyes, and I worship. I just sing, and just kind of like bless the field and bless, like, make sure everyone's protected. Like, just pray everyone's protected from injury, and it just gets me into that thing. I just walk around, look around the stadium, and just remind myself how blessed I am, bro.
Yeah, man.
And then that's kind of like the main ritual I always have to do before I play. And then then the normal same. Go in, get changed, warm up. Yeah, man.
And do your thing.
Yeah, but I'm like singing, bro, like and everyone's like. At first, I battled off because I was like here, and then like if anyone was listening. But now, like, because I'm content, I'm like just like, man, this is who I am. I just do it, and if anyone's like watch it, I can't see, but I just like if I want to sing, I sing it.
My man.
Well,
you gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah.
And like with that, because like, I mean, if you're always authentically yourself and you just keep doing that and you're still yourself, then it's just like, well, I'm true to my brand.
Yeah, and it becomes normal.
Yeah,
like people like, at first it's like, hey,
yeah,
but then when you do it like consistently and like you just be you, like it's like, oh yeah, that's odds.
Yeah,
that's that. So it's cool.
That's the one right there, man. And I was just thinking, so just like with all of that and playing the games and all that sort of stuff, and just the after, because what I think people don't realize is that when you get to that position, so I found it when we're going to get into your clothing stuff. So I found it when I got into academia. A lot of what I was doing was to firstly, I was just trying to like focus on what everyone else was doing so that I could try to get into like, okay, so that's how you do it, rather than finding my own way through it. And I remember around that time, I think I just started my doctorate, and your first line with messages came out. It was like the be unique and then face it till you make it.
Yeah.
And those were the two that I ended up getting. And I just remember it was like wearing it. I was a billboard like for other people to see. But what I didn't realize is that every time I put it on and looked in the mirror, it was telling me that's what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, man, I thought I was doing like wearing this so other people would be like, oh man, cool. But actually, it was just like, nah, I'm reminding myself this is how I need to be.
That's it.
And like a lot of it is even just facing like critiques when people are critiquing you for a lot of things, because you probably find in like there's more on your laptop looking at gameplay and you're analyzing yourself a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the real world. You're always analyzing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do I do this so I'm not so harsh on myself, but I'm doing this so that I'm actually getting better? How did you getting used to like these critiques are to make you better, rather than being like, nah, you're haters?
Or like from feedback.
Just like feedback from, well, firstly like media, so you'll have to face media after, but then also going in and you're hearing it from like your analysis or whatever.
Yeah, man, like I learned pretty quick, like, with media and that side, you believe, you read media and you're like, oh, you take it to heart. I still like struggle with that now. But yeah, it's hard. Like, when media is saying that, you played terrible, or like these other guys that are better than you, like you're like, for me, I've got better tools now to deal with it. But what I've learned, bro, in my career is that like, I only listen to a certain people and trust their advice. You know what I mean? And that's like obviously the coach. You'll have some guys around your team that you can go to, but I think the best judgment that knows if you played me well or like this is what you need to critique is you, like yourself. Like for me, I always remember someone saying like, like never listen to the media and believe, like, because they can pump you up.
Yep.
And if you believe it so much, when they chump you down, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So for me, I was just like, okay, I still struggle with it now, but I've got a trusted circle where who I listen to, and like, how did I play? When I look at the game, bro, I know deep in myself, like, I'll walk off the game and I was like, oh, I know what, like, I need to work on from that game.
Yeah.
You know, so I take it on board from like the coach, and you know, like I respect and honor when they're giving me feedback, but then I'll go away and just like, I might take, oh yeah, he's right about that. Yeah. He's right about that. But the other stuff, I won't like worry about it. Because for me, I found like, when I was taking so much feedback, I was trying to do so much things that just cluttered my mind. Yeah. But when I simplified it, bro, and just took things away and just listen to this. Yeah. Then it was sweet.
It's weird, eh? Because like we start off doing everything that we should be doing, and then we start thinking, "Oh, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this," and then we start going through like this weird, wait, what's happening? Why am I not working? And then you go back to everything you've always been doing. You're like, "Oh,
simple. There we go, bro. That's me, 100%. Was that you too?
Bro, it's everyone, I think. Eh?
Oh man,
like you go through all these different things. You're like, "That'll make my life better. That'll make my life better," and then you're just like, "Oh," and then you go back to what you always do, and you're like, "Oh, this is actually a better life."
Brotherhood.
We've cracked the secret, right?
Cracked the secret, man. Honestly, that's a secret formula, bro. Straight up, like that's my rugby career, man. Like, when I played, I just went and jammed, and like played because I loved the game. It was fun, and then like made the All Blacks. First year, sweet like that, and then the second year, like I started getting told what I could work on and get better and be the best in the world, and this is what I need. And I was like, yeah, believed in it. Took all the feedback in. Try to work on it, but then when I was playing, like I wasn't jamming and I wasn't free until I was about to give up footy. Yeah, in my mind, like I went for a period where I was like, no, I'm done, I'm done. And then my wife just encouraged me, babe, just don't overthink it, just jam it. So I was like, you know what, stuff it. This year I'm just gonna enjoy my rugby and just be free. And this was 2018, and it just happened that when Sammy Kane got injured with his neck at the end of the tour, I started to start and then played really well. And then 2019, 2020, it's been what it is so far. And just like went back to, if I look back at it, I went from, like you say, enjoying it to trying to be the man. And then now I've just gone back to like why I love the game and what's important. And
that's cool, bro.
Circle, bro.
And then our last 2 points before I get to the final question, but that's just for what I talked about with Tunga on here, and that's just like having that sense, like circle of accountability. Yeah. But then how that ties in to a lot of the messaging on your newest drop for your shirt, because what I've heard from you, and it's a really cool thing. So I'll get you to start with that. Actually, is you focus on this as you have a difference between focusing on it as like mental health, which everyone talks about it as, but you focus on well-being. Yeah. So like why was that the first point that you wanted to kind of get across with all that you do?
Like well-being and mental health?
So like people talk about it as mental health, but you didn't want to focus on it as like, oh, this is for mental health, but you just focused on well-being as an overall thing.
I just like, for me, like I just say well-being because I feel like well-being like represents like our emotions and how we feel every day. And if we can like get in tune with that ourselves, like, you know, we'll be better off in knowing how to deal with that. And if we're talking about how we feel every day, creating safe spaces and accountability with our brothers or sisters, I mean, we're talking about this stuff, it can avoid going down that deep path. And for me, man, I just drive it hard, and it's not trying to like tell people like pretty much everything that's on my garment is pretty much what I've been through. And like people don't know that, but like a lot of the messages, it's like there's some some tears and like stuff like in those messages. And like I'm just big on just creating like just awareness around it. And people, the whole goal is, like you said, bro, it's like people that buy it, it's like I'm buying it because I relate to that message. It's a reminder. And then as well as people see it on the street and it's a conversation starter, like, oh, what's that? And then that's how I can start the conversation. If that does that answer the question, bro?
Sure,
like
I'm just It's just focusing on everything and just making sure that, because I mean that's the thing, is that you as a player, you like obviously trying to be the best player that you can be, but if we can get to a point where you just grow good humans, and just grow people who, you know, do all the things from like a point of compassion and empathy and just love for one another, but also love for themselves, I think, which is a huge one as well.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, all those you know, the qualities that you just mentioned. Like, you know, imagine a world where you had people like that, you know, and like obviously you're going to get the haters and like, you know, negative people, but if, like I'm learning that skill now, is to like have grace upon them, like, you know, love them, and like this, part of the brand, bro. Like, that's been my journey, man, and kind of like, and Sas, my wife, she's my business partner as well. Both our journeys on those garments,
Yeah, man. That's unreal. And then being able to take that, and so like this is you sharing it to everyone on this, but then you also have, you know, your group that you go to and you chat with as well. So like how was that going from, you know, walking in, I mean, you know them all, which is a little bit different, but going in as like this one person that probably everyone's going to look at you and be like, this guy's got it together, what's he doing here? Like, is he just here be a guest speaker?
Nah, see, like, and that's like the power, like, of it was like, also the story of it, Tung's probably mentioned, it just started off with two of them.
Yep.
And they just decided they were going through some tough times and just talked about it.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, can we catch up once a week? Because they felt like it really helped. And 2 grew into 4, and then now it's like massive. There's men out there that want help and are crying for help, but just don't know how to. And for me, man, like it was like it was a space for me to like come in,
for sure,
because, you know, I wasn't perfect. I didn't have everything sorted, you know, like, even though it looked like it. But it was a safe space for me to come and share, be able to be vulnerable, share a bit of, like, you know, my pits of the week and my peaks, and it was an opportunity for other people to see that too.
Yeah.
And like I feel like because they put me on this pedestal, if I did it, it gave permission for them to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
If that makes sense, bro. And the more we spent more time, the more like it went away from, oh, it's Ardie Savea, to just like Sapuso. Like, you know, like we're just one of the boys now.
Yeah.
So like it was just like that. And the group's gone so big now that like as a leadership group in the group now, like we've got a leadership group, we're always talking about like protection and safety and always keeping group safety, because we've learned now that like, because it's coming big and like people want to come, there's some that may come for the wrong intentions. Right. They've come with an agenda.
Yeah.
And obviously there's like myself, there's like famous rugby guys. We've always got to protect them, because even though we think we're normal dudes, others don't. And if we share some stuff and it gets out, oh man, like, then that's when the safety of what we have and the essence of what we have in that group gets jeopardized. So group's been amazing, man. It's been a massive turning point in my life in terms of being able to share just normal conversations like this.
For sure.
And I think that's kind of been the start of me and Tunga and a lot of the boys' relationships, bro. Like when we go out for coffees, man, our chats are not like, where'd you get up to in the weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, it's only like, what club, nightclubs, like, which is okay too. Our talks are like this now. Like, how are you?
Yeah.
And we'll be like, I'm good. Yeah. They're like, nah, how are you? How are you for real? And it's like, we're like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you feel good after. So like that's why I see like our friendship's gone from like, we real. Yeah, for real, man. We're trying to be better. But yeah, group's been amazing, man.
That's
B.O.B.
awesome, bro.
Man,
yeah, that's so cool to hear. And I just hope that anyone who's listening to this, you know, can hear it from the one person that you might look up to all the time. You know, we're all on a path or a mission to become better. And whether that means, you know, you have to identify faults in everything that you do, like that's all part of that growth.
That's all part of it, man.
And that's what will make us better.
Yeah, because we always say like, when we come to group, man, it's an opportunity for all the weight. If you just mention all the weight on your shoulders, all the garbage, to just leave it out in a bag, and then you got everyone's garbage in there, and then at the end we like pray about it and we just throw it out. Yeah, and, you know, we just start. So like we've been growing, you know, like these guys there, man, like guys that came and like will never said a word. 3 years later, they're like leading in their communities, man. Like it's like, thank you, Lord, like, you know, and. It's beautiful, bro. Like it's been massive for me. And it's like you said, bro, like it's also a space where we keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Because we can come and share and say we want to be these great people, we want to be this, we want to be that. But if people are going like that, saying that, and then going out in real life, because group, it's easy to come to group and share and be like vulnerable. The challenge is when you're by yourself, when no one's looking, or you know, you're out in the real world, if you can live those values that you've been saying. So that's where the accountability comes in.
For sure.
So like once we make ourselves accountable to each other, we're going to keep you accountable, even if the boys don't like it. And like, it's not, when the boys realize it's not us trying to be like,
you're not being mean
followers
to them,
here, not mean. It's just they can see our heart behind it because we want them to grow and be better. I think that's when like it's like it becomes beautiful, bro. Like, and that's when the hard conversations happen, where I feel like a lot of the culture, in our culture, it doesn't happen. You know, we just won't have these difficult conversations. We'll just like leave it, bottle it up. And then when it's like a proper fun, everything comes out. So yeah, group's been awesome, man. Like it's like it's growing, man. Like it became a group where we can just share. Now it's become a group where we share and guys want to be better, so they've made themselves accountable to us.
That's cool, bro.
Just grow together, bro. And just still a journey, man. We
For
never
sure.
arrive at the destination. But we just journey through life, man.
Exactly, man. And it is the most beautiful thing when you see like some of the people who just would never talk about that sort of stuff. When you finally see them start to get comfortable, even just open up the smallest bit. Like they don't need to tell their entire story, but they're just like, yeah, I am finding it hard. And you're just like, cool. I'm glad you're feeling that way, and I'm glad we made you like feel comfortable to be able to share that sort of thing.
Because it's more than us.
Oh,
man. Like it's like I went there because I was like, it's more than me. The changes that I make in my life, the generational curses that I break, and it stops with me. Like, you know, like I'm not letting my daughter and my kids go through like, you know how they're saying it's like, like it runs in their family,
right?
Like, you know, like something runs in their family. It's like, let's break it, let's break that curse, let's break that chain. And going there was like for me to be free, but also it's like someone else's guide to be free. Like,
bruh, we got it right there. So if you're on the YouTube, you can see the shit right there. That's exactly what it is.
But like, you know, your freedom is someone else's, you know. And for me, like my freedom and all those, you know, like childhood traumas and stuff like that I didn't think had any effect on me. And when you reach a level of like, you're walking in it and you realize, actually, I need to talk to that stuff and address that stuff for me to be truly free. And still dealing with it, but when you become free, your fruits are your kids and your family, and they don't have to go through what you went through.
Yeah, man. It stops with me. That might be one as well.
It stops with me.
It stops with me. There we go.
There you go. I'll go. It stops with me. Troy at the bottom, hey.
Cool, bro. And I just got one more question to finish. I ask everyone this question, and it's what is something that you do every day or close to every day that makes you feel like you've optimized that day?
Something I do every day is read my devotion book, bro. Every morning, read my devotion book. Make sure I start the day off well. Like I'm growing in my faith, brother. So like for me, it's like keep the main thing, and that's the Lord. So I start with my devotion. So it's just like every day, it's got a new devotion for me every day.
Cool.
Encouragement, pretty much.
Yep.
And that kind of sets me up, man, and it just reminds me of being grateful and stuff like that. And then I'll go and just go on about my day.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
But that sets you up.
That sets me up, brother.
Yeah.
That sets me up. Yeah.
Awesome,
like, yeah. If I miss it, like I'm like, I'll be in the car, like, you know, like it's important to me.
Yeah. And then other than that, making sure you're getting your family time and
yeah. I'm still in the process of that. Like, you know, like I've got so many stuff on, but just trying to balance it, bro. And you know, God, my family, they're like, the fourth. But I'm lucky to have my wife, bro. Like she sees my blind spots. And, you know, if I'm going too off, she'll tell me. She'll be like, shh, family first. And I'm like, oh yeah, hun, sweet, okay. You know, like stuff like that, which is. It's cool.
It's cool, bro. That is so cool. And and thank the wife for letting you come over for this
she's
today.
all good, man. She loves you, bro. So like when there's like podcast, she'll give the okay. But when you ask, she was like, yeah, go, hun.
Yeah.
I was like, see, man.
There we go, man. There we go, right there.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool place to leave it. And I know you're a busy man, so
you're
we'll
good,
finish
brother.
up there. But I really appreciate your time, man.
All good, bro. I
It's
just
always-
appreciate you, Troy, bro. Honor you, man. Like, you're doing amazing things, brother.
Thank you.
So really appreciate it.
Nah, means a lot. All right, and all the best for your season. And hopefully people can go to wherever we can tag you and everything, and anything that you need help with in the future. I don't
Thank
know
you,
why,
brother.
but just let me know, brother.
Thanks, my man.
All right, man.
Cheers.